of evolution.
If the whale has a vestigial pelvis, and that is supposed to be evidence of it losing legs, that is not a helpful example for evolution. That would still be counterproductive.
Right. Now, so you're defining evolution then as what?
Well, the evolutionist would say we started from a single-celled organism which has no legs and slowly developed legs. Somewhere along the line, legs had to develop.
Right, but evolution is the process of moving from less adapted organisms to more adapted organisms.
Is that your definition of evolution?
That is the definition of evolution.
Okay, moving from less adapted to more adapted.
Organisms, yes.
Organisms, okay, that's your definition. Go ahead.
Right. So, a whale that would be on land and becomes an aquatic mammal and then loses its legs, would you say that's a more adapted or less adapted animal to the aquatic environment?
A whale that moves on land or moves off land and loses its legs,
no,
I would say...
I'm an organism, okay.
An organism.
All right. Okay. So let's say sea lions right now.
Sea lions, we're back.
Okay.
Well, what happened to the whales?
This is irrelevant. Okay. I'm using an example here of an organism that moves into the water.
An organism moves into the water, like a sea lion.
Right. And loses its legs and gains in replacement for flippers.
Okay. An organism, I would say that an example of an organism that moves into the water and loses its legs and replaces them with flippers is an example of a fairy tale, not an example of something we observe. You can believe that if you want, but there's no evidence.
All right, but that's not the question that I'm addressing.
Okay.
Because you're saying if that happened, that's the opposite of evolution.
Yeah.
And evolution having an opposite is a profound misunderstanding of the evolutionary theory. And you put it in your PowerPoint presentation, and it's a lie.
No, listen. The example I gave was, the textbook says, the whale has a vestigial pelvis, and the definition of vestigial is it doesn't need it anymore.
Right. But then you said, besides, if they lost their legs, that is the opposite of evolution.
That's correct. That is
now,
losing something. Either
you're ignorant of evolutionary theory, or you're telling a lie.
Do you believe the whale evolved from a land-dwelling creature, like a cow, like the folks at the National Center for Science Education believe?
Yes, I do. I mean, you can...
I showed you their brochure from Bossy to Blowhole. That's a cow to a whale, okay?
I'm not saying that I particularly believe that it's a cow, but I believe that it...
You believe it was a land-dwelling animal that turned into a whale. Okay. Do you realize that whales have their nose on the top of their head?
Yes.
Okay, and most animals on land have their nose on the front of their head.
And there is in fact a fossil record that shows the movement of the blowhole from the nose to the top of the head.
If somebody taught you that, and you paid to get taught that, they stole your money from you, son. Okay? The whale... Okay.
I couldn't find the whale under vestigial organs, but I did find on page 439 about the snake that it had quote-unquote hind legs, or remnants of hind legs, vestigial organs. It's a very brief paragraph. So, okay.
It is the same example, though, of losing instead of gaining. And if you think the whale came from a land-based animal and went back into the water, okay, that's what you think, right? And lost whatever, and gained whatever needed, and lost whatever needed. Because there's a lot of differences between most land-based mammals and a whale. A lot of differences, okay? I am not aware of any land-based mammals that have the same type of feeding system for their young that whales do, where they actually squirt the milk in. Most land-based animals have to suck on the milk. The whale actually squirts it into the baby's mouth.
That's what we would call an adaptation.
That's an adaptation. No, I would say that was designed, okay? Now, if you want to believe it's an adaptation, you can believe that, but you just left science and went to religion. And this is what you're not seeing, okay? Here we go.
All right.
Bossy the Blowhole, folks, and maybe I'm not getting this, but were they teaching at one time that the cow evolved to the whale? Am I getting? How many are saying that?
No.
How many are saying that? Oh, nobody's saying that. Okay, maybe I'm getting something wrong here. Now, let's see. Hey, I'm willing to correct. Honestly, I really am. Okay, if I'm wrong, let's see. Whale's pelvis. You're saying there is fossil evidence of the blowhole moving from the front of the head to the top of the head.
From the nose, yeah.
From the nose? Do you think there is fossil evidence for a whale? Are you referring to Ambulocetus?
I
Or
don't know
Pachycetus?
specific names. I'm in international
Okay.
relations.
I think you have been crippled by your education, and it's a shame you had to pay for that. It's worse that I had to help pay for that. Now, if you want to believe that, that's perfectly fine, okay? But that's not science, son. You've been sold a religion.
I've seen a line of fossils
You have seen a line of fossils.
where they have the nose closer to the front and moving towards the top of the head of skulls of whales.
You have
Now,
seen
does this
a line of
PowerPoint
fossils.
presentation refute that?
Well,
Yes,
was it fossils or was it drawings? Because
No, they were fossils. It was a video program. They showed the skulls on the table.
Oh, a video program. Now, I can show you, I've got a video clip here showing a tricycle turning into a tiger. It's amazing what you can do with these different video programs. You know?
What does this have to do with...
That's my point. What is your fossils? What is your
I'm
first
saying
place?
there's a fossil... I'm saying... Well, first of all, my main point is that you have a misunderstanding of what evolution is if you think that you can have the opposite of it. Now, I don't want to lose that point.
Okay.
Because we got to keep...
I understand. I understand your point. So you're saying the fact that it's losing its legs and turning into a whale is not really... That's still an example for evolution.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
You can't go backwards.
You
in
can't go
evolution.
backwards?
You can't go backwards because there's no backwards.
There's go backwards for evolution.
Right.
Okay.
There's no forward.
There's no forward, there's no backward. Just everything stays the same.
It's change.
You're a creationist, man. Everything stays the same.
I say things change towards more adapted from less adapted.
Okay, now, if you want to believe that, that's fine. But I pointed out, no fossils would count as evidence in a court of law. Because
What
you
does the
could...
court of law have to do with science?
Well-
Because you keep bringing it up.
Okay, something that would hold up in a court of law as real evidence, something that ought to be considered. You got a professor here at this university, Philip Johnson, that wrote 3 books saying if you put Darwin on trial, it wouldn't pass, okay?
That's a court of law. It has nothing to do with scientific inquiry. It has to do with juror selection and lawyers and law.
No, I'm saying the evidence wouldn't stand actual real scrutiny. Anybody could come up and say, Your Honor, he found some bones in the dirt. He doesn't know they had any kids. You're right, dismissed, next evidence. No fossils count.
You're saying that no fossils count
I'm
because...
saying, if you find some fossils like this, and you want to say that is evidence that a whale came from a cow or an animal on land or a bear, whatever you want, okay? I'm saying, Your Honor, he can't prove those bones right there had any children. Could you prove some bones you found in the dirt had any offspring, let alone different offspring? And why would you
No,
think...
but I could prove that they had parents.
Oh yeah, I could agree with that. Now,
Right.
see, you're missing the point. But
Now, if you find many fossils in the dirt,
if you find
in fact, if you find millions of fossils in the dirt,
that's proof of a flood.
now that's millions. That's millions.
I just announced that in about 15 minutes, we're going to have to start clearing out. So we're going to have, please no one else get in line for questions, but we're going to have to make it quicker. I know that not all the questions are being answered, and I know that there still seems to be some disagreement in the room. I've sensed that.
All right, so let's get back to the original point.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would like to
That's
ask
the original point, which is the direction of evolution.
there is no direction for evolution. That's what you said. There's no gaining, there's no forward, there's no going back, there's no coming.
I'm saying there's from less adapted to more adapted. Now, would you agree with that?
I'm saying it doesn't happen. The whole thing's a fairy tale. All this is taking place in your mind. It doesn't take place in
But on the
reality.
point of opposite of evolution, I mean, do you understand?
I understand that
what
you
is
are
being said?
straining at a gnat and swallowing a camel, son.
You want